In this lesson, we will set up the Katana environment required to load the renderer correctly. This course will be using Pixar's RenderMan, but you can still follow along with the renderer of your choice. A Windows batch script has been provided to you which will ensure that the renderer is set up correctly. Please use this batch script to launch Katana instead of the desktop shortcut that came with the Katana installation. It is possible that you could be on a new version of RenderMan, so we need to make sure that the batch script is pointing to the correct directories. To do this, open the batch script in a text editor and ensure that the paths and the version numbers match. Now let's take a closer look at the batch script. If you're using the batch script that I've included with this course, which is pretty much the same launcher script available on the Katana support page, with some additional variables added for RenderMan, you shouldn't have to tweak it too much to get started. The first part of the batch script we need to look at is the area commented as Katana specific, where we have a few important environment variables that need to be set for Katana to run correctly. So let's take a look at some of these. First, we have the Katana root variable, which tells the script where you have Katana installed on your computer. So this should point to the exact location of your installation. In my case, this is the C drive. If you install Katana on a different drive with a different label, then you will need to change this accordingly. And as I mentioned earlier, verify that the version number written here matches the version of Katana that you have installed. In this case, I've installed Katana 5 version 2. Next, we have the Katana resources variable, which tells Katana where to search for any custom tools or scripts you have added. And you can also see that it has the variable name repeated at the beginning and closed in % signs at the start and the end. This should be left as it is. It is simply reading the current value of the variable and expanding it before appending a new path, which you need to separate with a semicolon. Each additional path you add must be separated from the previous input with the semicolon. You can add as many Katana resources variable as needed, but as you see here, it needs to always read and expand the value of the current variable before appending a new path. This is because we want to ensure that we don't accidentally override anything, since these environment variables can be set up multiple times, as you can see here. Katana has a specific directory structure that you need to follow in order to load the tools correctly, and this varies depending on the type of the tool. We will cover this in a future course. Next, we have the default renderer variable that you can change depending on the renderer you want to load as the default. You can switch to a different renderer from within Katana as long as the environment variables required for that renderer is also set up correctly. Moving on to the RenderMan specific section, we have the RMan tree variable, which should point to the location of your RenderMan Pro server installation. The RFK tree variable should point to the location where you have installed RenderMan for Katana. And next, you can see the Katana resources variable once again, and as you can see, we have the variable repeated inside the path to ensure that we load all the values that were previously set. The next few variables set here loads the necessary plugins required to use the RenderMan Hydra viewport delegate, which allows you to render using RenderMan directly into Katana's Hydra viewport. This is optional, but you can set this up and still have the option to not use this in the Hydra viewport. You can follow a similar syntax for any additional renderers you might need, as I've done here for 3D Light. With all these variables set up, you can now save the batch script in an easily accessible location. Make sure to launch Katana by double-clicking on this batch script. You should now have everything you need to follow along this course. In the next lesson, we will learn about some of the key concepts of Katana, while also getting familiar with the user interface.